Hi everyone. I've received a lot of questions lately about the best tools to use for finding new Amazon private label products. So I want to put together a quick video to sort of discuss the differences between these various research methods and tools and just give you a breakdown of how each of them work. So let's start with method number one, which is going to be the manual method. And this is probably the most common way of doing market research, but in my opinion, it's also the least efficient. So let's just go through a typical example of how this might work. Some people start by looking at an Amazon bestseller list, and this is the bestseller list for the pet supply category. And as you can see on the left here, there's obviously subcategories, but this is going to be the main category. And from here, the process is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to go through this list manually to sort of evaluate, the rating, the number of reviews, or how competitive a certain product or niche is. You're going to look at the price or price range. Obviously, in this instance, you know the BSR range, but if you're looking at more of a category overview, you want to look at BSR range. For instance, just going through here, let's say this drink well caught my eye. I want to go through. I want to see how much the product weighed. So I'd have to, let's see, scrolling down here, it looks like a shipping weight of 2 pounds, which would meet my personal requirements of just being lightweight. And from here, you can collect the data however you want. You can put it into a spreadsheet to sort of dive deeper into the data later. But as you can imagine, if you're looking at hundreds, if not thousands of products or hundreds of product pages, it's just going to take, a long time, many hours. You might end up pulling your hair out by the end of it, but the fact of the matter is that you can find product ideas this way. It's just very inefficient. So, similarly, you can do the same thing by looking at, a general category overview. You can set filters to $10 to $50. And then the process would just be exactly the same of sort of scrolling through, seeing, what other products catch your eye. For instance, this shedding tool might work. There's a ton of reviews, so maybe it wouldn't, but you guys get the general idea. The manual way is just very labor intensive. So let's move on to method number two, which is going to be Jungle Scout. I believe Jungle Scout sells for just under $90. I think $87. You can go to junglescout.com to check it out for yourself. They have a video that you can look at. And Jungle Scout is pretty cool in the sense that it's a Chrome plugin, and it can go through, let's say, a bestseller list. You can press go, and then the plugin will basically scrape basic product information for you so that you don't have to go through one by one. You can then export the data and sort of review it from there. You can also export category pages, which is nice, or seller pages as well. It also has a couple calculations and features within the report that it produces that I find that look helpful. You have the estimated sales, which can obviously sort of give you an overview of the market and how many units are selling, as well as estimated gross revenues. Again, it's just really nice to see those things, but I just want you to keep in mind that that's not going to be estimated net sales, so it's not going to be the profit of whatever product you're selling at that specific BSR range. So I think it's sort of missing out on certain calculations that can really help private labelers. But overall, it's a good tool that has some good functionality that is that I like. One of the things I don't like that I want to point out though is the fact that, for instance, let's say I go to a bestseller list, I scroll down and I click go, within the plugin. It'll go through and scrape, but then I manually have to click, extract more data. So it's not automatic by any means, even though it can save you time doing your research. So that's going to be Jungle Scout. Moving on, we have a tool called Amasuite or Amasuite. And I actually own this tool. I bought this a long time ago before I built my own custom scraper. And I just want to give you a quick example of how it works. Basically what I can do is I can go to, let's say, I can grab this bestseller list URL. I can go to the tool. I can paste it in, press go, and then it will automatically grab all 100 products without having to do anything manually. It is quite helpful. Although once you go to extract more data, which basically means that it will go through each page individually to sort of pull those other data points that we mentioned, such as weight, it can just start taking a lot of time, similarly to Jungle Scout. When Jungle Scout start pulling data from multiple pages, it just sort of it takes resources to do that just in general, coming from a guy that has built his own scraper. So uh, it just takes time. And you also have to keep in mind that Amasuite has a much, much higher price point of $300. So, depending on your private label bankroll, that's just something to consider if you want to invest that money into a tool. So I'm just going over this one more time. Amasuite is very black and white. It doesn't give you any sort of calculations, but it does pull all of the information that you need directly from Amazon. So yeah, this is going to be Amasuite. They also have a couple other tools within their package, such as pulling different data for specific keywords and other stuff that you can check out on your own. So moving on, we also have method number 4, which is going to be AmzQuest. Full disclosure, this is a service that I recently started based on demand that I saw for Amazon data reports. So one of my biggest things is that, time is our most valuable asset. So, when I thought about building this tool and after I built it, my biggest thing was just getting as much data as possible from Amazon to sort of expedite the research process. And basically with the AmzQuest reports, I'll show you one here, there's just no waiting. There's no need for you to go through and scrape, do any sort of manual research or any sort of manual scraping. It does everything for you, so it just spits it out into this nice clean report that's fully customizable. Now let me just go through this real quick to sort of give you sort of an overview of what this report entails. So rather than look at saying a best-selling list or that is limited, let's say 100 products, I go through the top 400 pages or top 9,600 products. That's sort of what my scraper can do to pull back as much information as possible. In this specific report, within the pet supply category, it scraped 2,200 products. And from here, it's just all about going through and setting your custom filters. For instance, I set reviews to less than or equal to 300, price point 15 to 30 bucks. And obviously when we get to BSR, I set it to under 2,000, which, obviously that's well within a range. It's going to be selling a good number of units. And then for pounds, I went under 2 pounds. And I set those filters. Now, 2,200 products is a lot, but obviously once I sort of set my custom filters, this gets to a much more manageable 115 units. And when you're talking about setting filters on let's say 100 products, you might get back, let's say, a handful. But with an AmzQuest report, you're getting, at least within this report, 100 products that you can go through, and they're already going to meet all of your requirements. So as you can imagine, huge time saver. You're not going to be finding necessarily one product, but potentially a whole line of products. And some of the calculations that this report will include are target cost. So for example, let's say you found a product that was selling for 30 bucks and you're like, oh, well, for my business model, I want an ROI of 100%. So this is going to be your target cost so that when you go to Alibaba, you know that anything below this point is going to meet your requirements, and it just gives you a more accurate viewpoint of what you're going to be dealing with based on the sort of ROI that you want, so on and so forth. Moving on here, we have the profit per unit, which based on this cost, again, you can change this. Let's say instead of paying 10 bucks, you can pay 5 bucks. And obviously you can see that all of these numbers will adjust. You know that different suppliers have different minimum order quantities. So, let's say you want to order 500 units. This will just give you more accurate information as what you will be dealing with for your profit for the order. I know that Jungle Scout doesn't really take into account any sort of fees because it gives you the gross revenues per month, but for this profit order, this is taking out fees, and this is going to be more realistic of what you will be dealing with. And lastly, you'll see the estimated days to sell out to sort of forecast when you might run out of inventory. So this is AmzQuest. If you guys want this report, just shoot me a message, or if you have any questions, let me know. I really try to be as objective as possible with all of these different services, and I encourage each and every one of you to sort of go through yourself to sort of explore what they have, and what sort of appeals to you to kind of make your own decision. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I have a longer video if you guys wanted to take a look how I use the reports. And I guess here's the bottom line. It's like, all in all, every one of these methods, with every one of these methods, you're going to be able to find product ideas. It's just sort of a matter of how much you value your time and how useful the data is. So I hope this helps. If it did, please share or like the video if you found it useful. And as always, I am an enormous believer in using feedback to improve a service. So I love the feedback, positive or negative, and it's greatly appreciated. Hope you guys have a nice day. Cheers. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.